Okay. Any doubts, Shankar Gowda? No? Shall I continue? Okay, fine then. Basic components. When I'm just talking, I was just talking about the basic components. Actuator is one thing which converts this fluid power into mechanical power. That is the one thing, and it can also be defined as actuator is a mechanical element which is in motion for a hydraulic system is called as an actuator. Pump is one, say for example, I was just talking about that. The water which is stored in a sump doesn't have any pressure except, no, it will be maintained at atmospheric pressure. With the same pressure, we cannot lift it to the syntax. So what we do it is, pump is the one which sucks it. That means there will be a vacuum pressure that has been created by the pump. And then with a higher pressure than the atmospheric elevated place. That means a pump is a device which changes the pressure of a fluid. Okay, valves have already discussed in the previous slide where valves are something like our controlling elements which controls the direction, which controls the pressure, okay, which also controls the amount of fluid to be flown in the pipelines. Okay, next one is a power supply. Motor power supply, there will be usually power supply, we send it only to the pump, which is a power consuming device. Okay, whereas the actuators are power generating devices. Pump is the one which is a power absorbing devices for which we need to supply the power for that. So what we do it is we will place a motor, simple. We will place just a motor to drive the pump. That will do the purpose. That will solve the purpose, right? Okay. Once again. The next one is a reservoir. Reservoir, which we popularly call it as a tank upper. When you are operating at when you are operating a hydraulic system, there should be a source of uh, liquid. Okay, even in your automobile systems, coolant oil will be there, so it will be stored as a reservoir. Whenever it is been used, it uses and it comes back. So reservoir or a tank or a whatever you call it as a syntax, it is as a source of the fluid which will be stored at the reservoir. Reservoir functions are different. Actually, reservoir not only acts as a source, it also acts as a heat sink. How? Because you just imagine there is a reservoir tank from which you have taken the oil, you have compressed it, and you have supplied it for the power transmission. Once the power transmission is there, throughout the system, wherever there is a mechanical friction and all those things, the heat will be exchanged to the liquid. That means the liquid or the fluid which is coming back to the reservoir will be of higher temperature. When it mixes with the reservoir, large amount of liquid, obviously the temperature does changes. Maybe you might have studied heat exchanger. Heat exchanger is a device which exchanges the heat between two liquids. The heat exchangers, there are two types. One is a mixed type and the other one is an unmixed type. This reservoir acts as mixed type heat exchanger. Okay, these are the basic components of the hydraulic systems. So whenever we talk about hydraulic system, there should be minimum these components. Now, wonderful picture here. My dear friends, what you see it here, I want you people to copy it down. In any books, you will get this. This is hot. Most of the 9 out of the 10 times, he will ask you to draw the sketch of a components, basic components of a hydraulic system and operate it and explain the operations. That is what basic components of a hydraulic system. Hydraulic systems are a power transmitting assemblies employing pressurized liquid as a fluid for transmitting energy from an energy generating sources to an energy using point to accomplish useful work. Figure shows the simple circuit of hydraulic system. Now, Whenever now onwards in hydraulic and pneumatic system, there will be two types of diagrams you will be getting it. One is a normal picture, what you would see it here. This is a normal picture, what you are seeing it here. This is a one. Now this is a hydraulic circuit. The same figure they have implemented it. I will share this slide if you want. These do not change any even a single dot in these two figures. These are wonderful sketches. I have copied it from some website actually, even I don't know, I don't remember. This will fetch you good marks. Okay, now let me come back. Now, oil tank, can you able to read it out?
Yes, sir.
Now this oil tank is nothing but a reservoir or a source. From this what happens? We will pump it to the regulator. Now here, my dear friends, before this oil tank, the oil enters into the pump, we have placed a filter. What is the necessity of filter? I will tell you. Sir, ನಾವು ಆಯಿಲ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀರ. But what happens is, this oil is a reusable oil. Say for example, this oil when it goes and it has been compressed, it goes here, everywhere. It carries a lot of contaminations, and that contaminations should be cleaned. So for that purpose we have placed a filter over here. It filters all the contaminations and gives out a pure cleaned liquid or a fluid to the pump. Pump is, I have already told you in the previous one, power supply. Power supply, we are going to use a motor to drive the pump. So this motor is used only for the power supply necessity for the pump. So pump utilizes this power supply and sucks this suction with a vacuum pressure, and the oil will be sent to the pressure regulator. Now my dear friends, pressure regulator is a one. It is something like a safety valve. Pressure regulator means, pressure regulator means a pressure regulator is a device which controls a particular pressure which is required for the operation. Say for example, you have an hydraulic lift. A hydraulic lift can be used to lift a car, or it can also lift a lorry, or it can also lift a bike. Say for example, when you want to lift a bike, the power which you require is less. The same lift, hydraulic lift, which you are using it to lift a car is more. Am I right, my dear friends? Similarly, you might have seen it when you go for a multi-storage building, there will be a lift. Correct, my dear friends? When a single person is operating in a lift, the power required is less. When 10 people enters into the lift, the power required is more. But it will, in both the occasions, it will move with the same speed, my dear friends. What happens? A single person in the lift, 10 people in the lift, it will move with the same speed. But the thing is, the power which is required for lifting the 10 people is more than the power required to lift a single person. How you monitor it? How you maintain it? This pressure regulator is a one which will do that. That is the first function. Second function is, say for example, every element or every device is designed with its own limitations. Do you agree or not? Say for example, anything. Say you take your bike. Your bike is designed to go maximum speed of 150 kilometers per 150 kilometers per hour. Can you travel more than 150 kilometers or 200 kilometers? It is not possible, because it is been regulated to maintain that speed. That's it. So this pressure regulator will maintain the pressure of the fluid which is designed or restricted for this hydraulic system. That is the use of this pressure regulator. So, sir, ನೀವು ಕೇಳಬಹುದು, sir, for example, if the pressure is more by the pump, andre whatever the extra pressure which has been generated here will be sent back over here. My dear friends, and only it will go. Okay, now this is the use of a pressure regulator. The next one is a directional control valve. this is what we call it as a DCV ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತೀರ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ, DCV ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ DCV ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಬಿ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಹಿಯರ್. DCV ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ನಾಬ್ಸ್. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ JCB ನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. 1 2 3. 1 means a neutral position, something like a gear. Whenever it is a 2 ಅಂತಂದಾಗ it will move forward. It will move forward and it will send the liquid over here in this direction. It will, I will tell you 3 later on. Now say for example you have moved the lever. You have moved the lever. Guru has left the class. Okay, fine then. Now listen to me. Whenever I move this lever to the second gear or second position, it will allow this high pressured fluid to move to this actuator. My dear friends, this is the actuator. Actuator ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, it will allow this pressurized fluid. When there is a fluid from the top and it applies over here, the pressure will be applied from the top of the piston. This is a piston and this is a cylinder, my dear friend. Okay, the cylinder or the piston head ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, the fluid will be applying the pressure. Obviously what happens, this will move downwards. Correct, my dear friends? Say for example this load ಅಂತ ತೊಗೊಳಕ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ರಿ, you take it as a car. Now this load or a car will come down. Correct? Suppose if you move this, if you move this valve to the third position, what happens? The liquid will be pushed from the bottom. So what happens? From the bottom of the piston, cylinder will starts moving upwards. Obviously your car will also starts moving upwards. In this case what happens, whatever the fluid at the top will go back to the directional control valve and it allows it to the oil tank. Whenever the lever is at 2, the oil will come over here and the oil which is at the bottom of the piston will be moved back to the pump. I'm so sorry, oil tank or the reservoir. Are you getting it, my dear friends? Okay, fine then. This is how this directional control valve. Now I will define what is a DCV. DCV is popularly called as a directional control valve, which main function is to control the direction in which the fluid power has to be moved, or a high compressed fluid has to be moved. ಆ ಹೈ ಕಂಪ್ರೆಸ್ಡ್ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಯಾವ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Is that clear? The same sketch he has given it in a graphical way. So my dear friends, please follow this. Filter is been always given by the rhombus shape with a dotted line. This is a pressure regulator. Pump is always designated like this. Reservoir is always designated like this, like our tank. And this DCV, directional control valve, is designated by like this. 3 positions. Now there are 3 positions, right? 1 2 3. Neutral, second, third. Now my dear friend, there are 3 square boxes. You can see it? Can you able to see these 3 boxes? One second.
Zoom it, sir.
I'm not getting it, Kana. I tried it. I'm not getting it. Control plus.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾವು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಝೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
ಹೌದಾ? Okay. This is what the major problem with this. Now control plus, can I do it? Okay, view zoom. ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಣ, it is not getting it. But I just I'll send you the slide appa. No issues. I will send you the slide. There are 3 square boxes are there. I want everybody's attention here. ನಿಮಗೆ ಬುಕ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Please listen to me here carefully. There are 3 boxes are there. That means 3 positions. 1 2 3. The middle one is a neutral, correct? Neutral. 1 second. Before that there are 4 ports are there, and 4 ways. This is one entry, exit, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now listen to me here. In the middle portion is neutral. What do you mean by neutral? Neutral antandre no fluid is intaken, no fluid is given out. No intake and no exit. That means it is all four valves or four ports are closed position. This is called neutral. Is that clear? Is that clear, my dear friends? This is the middle neutral position. Say, for example, you take a second position. Second position, it is taking it and it is giving out to the actuator. It is taking it from the pressure regulator. It is taking it from the pressure regulator and giving it to the actuator at the top. Okay. Now, meanwhile, from the bottom of the actuator, it is going to the tank. This is what it means. From the actuator, it is going to the tank. It is from the tank going to the actuator. Now, the third position, you just take it. In the third position, what is happening is from the tank, it is going to the bottom of the actuator, and from the top of the actuator, it is going to the tank. This is what the three positions 1, 2, and 3. This is a symbolic representation of directional control valves. Okay. Now motor, it should be represented only with a circle, whereas a pump should be circle with a triangle with a point towards. That means even here in this pump triangle shape, the sharp edge is going in this direction. That means it is pumping to here. And this is what meaning. Pressure regulator, there should be an arrow mark. That's it. Extended and retraction. This is the basic components of a hydraulic systems. Whenever people ask to write out 5 marks or 6 marks or 8 marks, people will write a very good sketch of this. But my dear friends, I suggest you to draw this also to get out marks. Is it clear? Only thing is you have to explain what is a filter, what is the function of a filter, pump, motor, pressure regulator, this DCV, and how it just operates. That's it. You will get definitely a good marks. Okay, this is what the further. I just would like to continue with the same thing with this basic components as a reservoir and oil supply, pump and prime mover, source of power. Pump and prime mover. Pump or it is nothing but a motor. Prime mover means nothing but a motor. Pressure relief valve or pressure control valve. Okay. Next one is control valve. That is a DCV, as I just told you. Cylinder or hydro motors. Obviously, that is there. The same thing he has given it with a different sketch. Every time, don't be in the imagination that the tank should be always at the bottom. Tank need not necessary to be at the bottom. When we go for a JCB, the tank will be there near the driver side. Need not necessary to be at the bottom. Only the thing is, it has to be there. Sufficient amount of the oil should be available for the extremities. That means for the maximum power and for the minimum power. Even for the JCB, it can lift around 2 tons. If you force it to lift 10 tons, it is not possible because it is designed to work under the conditions of 2 tons. Is it clear? So, for 2 tons, to lifting the 2 tons, what is the oil power is required? If so much of oil power is required, what is the quantity of oil is required? So he will set it for like that. Even if you go for a pulsar, disc brakes ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. Disc brakes ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ power right hand steering handle ಹತ್ರ there will be a small black color box will be there. Have you seen it? So there will be oil for that. So this is all the source for that oil. This is what he has given it with a different structure. There is a pump, reservoir is there, control valve. CV is nothing but a control valve. Okay, this is a return fluid which is going in the blue color. This is a good picture actually. System relief valve or directional control valve. Double acting cylinder. That means single acting and double acting cylinders. The cylinders andre this is called as a cylinders, my dear friends. This is a cylinders. Okay, piston cylinder. Okay, now there will be two types of cylinders. The first one is a single acting cylinder and the second one is a double acting cylinder. What do you mean by single acting cylinder? Single acting cylinder means it does the work only action, which we call it as a single acting. A double acting is something like a double heroes irtaralla aa thara. So it does the work on both the occasions when it is moving on both the sides. That means if it is moving upwards, it does the work. If it is moving downwards, then it also does work. It does the work in both the movements. Then we call it as a double acting cylinders. If it is doing the work only once, then we call it as a single acting cylinders. That's it. This is a reservoir, oil reservoir functions and all. Now it is okay. Different reservoir important role for functioning of a system. I have already explained you this in the earlier stages. The meeting will end for all in 5 minutes. Before it quits us by force, let us quit it and stop it over here and continue tomorrow. Okay, I will continue the session tomorrow. Is that okay? I will send. I will
Okay,
share.
sir.
I'll share. Thank you.